Hello everyone, this is Obsidian with the Triple S League talking about Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. A couple of months ago when the whole fiasco of 76 was going on, we addressed the issue on whether or not Bethesda's engine needed basically an overhaul or needed to ditch it completely. With the news that came out at the PAX East this week, we've been able to kind of get a quick glimpse at what they're doing with the current engine. We have two screenshots that were basically given to us or teased by Bethesda on this. Both of these really indicate where they're headed with their technology. One of the key things that they've done is that they've gone out and grabbed actual real footage and scans of real world rocks, topography, locations, and stuff like that. And they're adding this to the game with a level of visual fidelity that is just on par with real world graphics. They show a picture of them scanning Shirley from Grandma Plays Skyrim.
Holy cow, I'm gonna die again.
Skyrim Grandma is, I get tongue-tied, her name is Shirley Curry. She's been playing Skyrim for a number of years now. And she's just very passionate about the game. Didn't
I just charge that with a grand soul gem?
Great person, and I'm so happy that they've added her to the game here. But we can see that the level of graphics that we're going to be operating with the new Elder Scrolls game, which is several years away still. And honestly, what we can see from this is they're basically working on the premise that they're going to be using essentially photorealistic graphics for everything.
We're building the technology now that is going to fuel our future games.
We're using photogrammetry to scan in all these real-world assets and push our future tech for games to levels we have not done before.
Not just the players, but also the ground and the terrain is going to be fully fleshed out. We kind of get a little bit of a glimpse at where they're probably heading with the meshes and the technology as far as that goes. And what they're going to be offering is what Todd really promised originally when he first started talking about Elder Scrolls 6 several years ago, and that's the technology that they were wanting to make the next Elder Scrolls game with didn't exist at that time. And it's been something that they've been chasing since then. And we can really see this with the cameras that they're using to capture land and rocks and pictures and stuff like that, because they're actually going out of their way to make this next game as real and as visually appealing as they possibly can. Obviously, of course, is going to be deep into the next generation. What they're planning to do with this is to make a world that's so deep, so vast, and so connected, and that really allows them to do this with their current engine, because they've upgraded the engine from what Skyrim was and from what Fallout 4 was. We're having a massive jump forward in that technology. And what they're doing is they're keeping it as friendly to create and as friendly to mod as they've always had their games be up until this point. And I think this is really, really a good thing, because with the technology and with the games that are moving more and more in the direction of being always online and stuff like that, that really diminishes modding technology. But as we can see here, this is something that they're actively interested in allowing and encouraging still, and I think this might be one of the best and greatest games. In fact, it may be one of the few games of its generation that will be as open and as moddable as what we in the modding community have been used to. There's a lot of games coming out in the future. There's a lot of games currently that are out there that just do not allow modding in any way, shape, or form, and that's only going to get worse and worse as time goes on. But what we're seeing here with what the next Elder Scrolls is bringing clearly is indicating a shift to a level of graphics and a level of animation that we've just never ever seen before. And we will continue to see this as it kind of trickles out over the next few years. They're really pushing this technology. We're not going to see anything from either Elder Scrolls 6 or apparently Starfield, which is a little bit shocking, at the next E3, which is honestly really shocking, because we had assumed for a while that Starfield was going to be a release game, a console release game, or at the very least a double release cycle game, meaning that it would show up just as the previous console generation died, and then it would be re-released, allowing you to access even more horsepower of the next thing. And that's something that Skyrim loves, being re-released, and they've re-released that too many times to count. So this is a little bit surprising, but the amount of negativity and feedback that they've gotten with 76 has really made them understand that they really need to polish that game up. And I think where they were going with it originally and what they were planning to do, I think they're at the point now where they're saying, okay, we're going to make sure that we absolutely make this game 100% smooth, 100% accessible, and 100% bug-free as much as possible, even for them. And trying to do that in such a way that they're not going to let the fans down again, the way that a lot of fans have felt let down over the 76 debacle. They also talked about 76 a little bit, and again, we can see that they're not abandoning the game, that they're going to be trying to work on it really hard. And the way that Todd addressed some of these issues made it really sound that what 76 is going to be like a year from now is going to be pretty different than what it is even today. The fact that they're going to be adding in as much content as they can, and they're still planning on releasing more and more content and making the game better and better and better. They're not willing to just throw their hands up and walk away from this. They're still chasing this with passion and drive. And yes, it was a really muddled, really failed product at release, but where they're headed with this seems to be really good. It also seems to be really good that there was a bit of a hint, and they're starting to become more and more of a consensus that they are indeed going to be adding in some NPCs at the very late stages of the DLC that's currently planned for this game. It seems to be the big thing that they're going to be adding in at the fall period or the winter period is going to be going back and adding some NPCs to the world, because they've realized that just did not work the way that they were wanting to. And it's not the only game that's run into that recently as well. So for the most part, this is great news from Bethesda. They're making some solid moves to try and clean up and to make their content a little bit better. They seem to be taking to heart some of the lessons that they learned with 76. I'm still kind of disappointed with the cost of Rage 2 seems to be quite high. But at the same time, the cost of some of the other products that they have coming out this year seem to be quite low. Then there's Blades, and the fact that the monetization on that seems to be a little bit aggressive and random too, which is not something that I enjoy at all. It seems to be all over the place. And just going off of that and looking at that, I can see that there's still some learning to go there. They've certainly not cleared their name as far as everything goes, but they're moving in the right direction. And I think if we rally behind their good choices and if we continue to pressure them for the bad choices, I think overall they can change and they can become much, much better than what 76 and some of the other outlying issues that they've been dealing with. It's not a problem that they make, mobile games and attach monetization to it. It's bad when they abuse that structure, and we don't want them to abuse that kind of structure. We don't want them to be adding in the majority of the content in 76 to be things that you buy in the store. We want the majority of content to be good content that's easily accessible by everybody straight from the get-go. So continuing up the pressure, I think, is a good idea, but overall, what I'm seeing, especially as far as the engine goes, there is new and better movement here, and I think everybody will be pleasantly surprised at how well this engine goes from being what it was in Skyrim and what it was in Fallout 4 to becoming something that is far, far better in Starfield, and then just blowing your socks off in Elder Scrolls 6. I really think this is something that this is the direction that they're heading in. We can see that they're actively working on stuff right now for Elder Scrolls 6. We also, with the type of rocks that they're photographing that they kind of showed off, I really think Hammerfell is the location. I mean, we said it originally, but now I think we can basically put down a solid bet on that. So that's the best and most important things that have come out about the Elder Scrolls and Starfield and all of the other Bethesda related products. We definitely are going to have a very, very interesting E3. We're going to be watching them very closely over the next couple of months here. And hopefully they get back on their feet, and they get back on their feet in a really good way. It's
sort of an obsession to make the perfect Elder Scrolls game, so I don't think that's ever going to go away.
With the encouragement of the fans, we're even immortalizing Skyrim Grandma using that technology.
This means a lot to me because I would be extremely happy to know that somebody else was playing with my character in a future Elder Scrolls game.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell, and then check out some of these other videos. Find the link to our Discord server and other important stuff in the description below.
What?